The conference hall of Concordia Prime floated in the darkness of space like a jewel. Inside, representatives from 47 different species sat in their designated sections. The air recyclers worked overtime to accommodate everyone's breathing needs. Some aliens needed methane, others preferred ammonia. Humans just needed oxygen, which made them simple. Too simple, some said. Ambassador Elena Korvash walked to the center platform. Her shoes clicked against the metal floor. Around her, hundreds of alien eyes watched. Some were curious. Most were indifferent. A few were openly hostile. She carried a data tablet in her hands. The tablet contained evidence, images of burned colonies, lists of names, thousands of names, all human, all dead. Honored members of the council, Elena began. Her voice was steady. For the past 18 months, the Zelnoth pirate fleets have attacked 12 human colonies. The death count now exceeds 47,000 civilians. We have provided evidence of these attacks. We have shown you the burned settlements. We have given you the locations of Zelnoth bases. Yet no action has been taken. A rippling sound came from the Thix section. They were laughing. The Thix looked like giant centipedes made of silver metal. Their laughter sounded like wind chimes in a storm. Council Elder Voshitar rose from his seat. He was Valorian, one of the Ancient Ones. His species had been traveling the stars when humans still lived in caves. He knew this. Everyone knew this. The Valorians never let anyone forget it. Ambassador Korvash, Voshitar said. His voice was deep and slow like rolling thunder. The Council appreciates your passion. However, these frontier disputes are common. They are part of the growing pains that all young species must endure. Growing pains. Elena's voice cracked slightly. She steadied herself. Elder Voshitar, 47,000 people are dead. Children, families, entire settlements wiped out. And humanity has been a member of this council for how long? Voshitar asked. He already knew the answer. Everyone did. 150 years, Elena said quietly. Exactly, 150 years. A blink of an eye. The Valorian Empire has maintained peace in this galaxy for 12,000 years. We understand patience. Perhaps humanity needs to learn it as well. More sounds of agreement rippled through the chamber. The Kresh delegates clicked their mandibles in approval. The Silurian representatives flashed their bioluminescent skin in patterns that meant, yes, correct, agreed. Elena looked around the chamber. She had stood here many times before. She had made requests. She had asked for support. She had tried to build relationships. For 10 years, she had served as Earth's ambassador to the Council. 10 years of polite dismissals. 10 years of being patted on the head like a child. If I may speak, another voice called out. It was Ambassador Threll of the Thix Consortium. Humanity must understand their place. You are newcomers. You have valuable resources, yes. Your medical technology is useful. Your engineers are competent. But you lack wisdom. You lack the perspective that comes with age. We lack respect, Elena said. The words came out before she could stop them. The chamber went quiet. Excuse me? Threll's translator made his voice sound offended. Elena took a breath. She thought about the message she had received that morning. It was from Earth, from the Prime Minister, from the President of the Terran Federation, from every human government united for once. They were done waiting. I said we lack respect, Elena repeated, louder this time. Not that we lack wisdom. Not that we lack perspective. We lack your respect. And we have finally realized something important. We don't need it. Voshitar's face showed confusion. The Valorians rarely showed emotion, but this seemed to surprise him. Ambassador, you are upset. Perhaps a recess. No, Elena cut him off. Another breach of protocol. She was breaking all the rules now. It felt liberating. No recess. No more delays. Let me tell you what humanity has learned in our 150 brief years on this council. She activated her tablet. Images appeared on the holographic displays around the chamber. We learned that when the Valorian fleet needed new AI systems, it was human programmers who built them. We learned that when the Thix factories couldn't meet production quotas, it was human engineers who fixed the problems. We learned that when the council needed someone to fight the pirates threatening minor species, it was human ships that did the fighting. More images flashed. Medical stations, trade routes, defense grids, all maintained by humans, all taken for granted. We learned, Elena continued, that we have been doing the work while you took the credit. We learned that our valuable resources were keeping your economies alive. We learned that our competent engineers were holding your infrastructure together. And most importantly, we learned that you never noticed. You were too busy reminding us of our place to see what we were actually doing. The chamber was completely silent now. Even the air recyclers seemed to quiet down. 6 months ago, we asked for help defending our colonies. You debated. 3 months ago, we showed you proof of where the Zelnoth bases were located. You formed a committee. Last month, we lost an entire colony. 15,000 people. You sent condolences. Elena looked directly at Voshitar. You want to know about patience, Elder? We have been patient. For 150 years, we have been patient. We have been quiet. We have been cooperative. We have been everything you asked us to be, and our people died while you talked. She deactivated her tablet and held it against her chest. Effective immediately, humanity is withdrawing from the Interstellar Council. We will honor existing trade contracts until they expire, but we will accept no new ones. We will recall our engineers, our doctors, our programmers, and our military advisors from Council space. We will close our borders to Council ships. The silence broke. Everyone started talking at once, shouting, demanding, threatening. Elena just stood there waiting. Finally, Voshitar raised his hand. The chamber quieted. Ambassador Korvash, this is an emotional reaction, an emotional tantrum from an emotional species. You cannot survive without the Council. Our trade networks feed billions of your people. Our technology, your technology? Elena laughed. It was not a happy sound. Elder Voshitar, 30% of your technology was designed by humans. You just never bothered to check the patents. She turned to leave. The other human delegates stood as well. 5 of them. They had been sitting quietly in the human section the entire time. Now they followed Elena toward the exit. You'll come crawling back, Threll shouted. His translator made him sound smug. Without our trade networks, you'll starve within a generation. Elena stopped at the doorway. She looked back at the chamber full of aliens, species who had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, species who thought humans were children playing at politics. You've mistaken our diplomacy for weakness, she said quietly. Her words were picked up by the microphones and broadcast throughout the chamber. That ends today, and when you finally understand what you've lost, don't come looking for us. We're done talking. The door closed behind them with a soft hiss. In the chamber, the delegates looked at each other. Some were angry. Some were confused. Most were amused. They'll be back in a month, Voshitar said confidently. Humans are nothing without the Council. He believed it. They all believed it. They would learn differently soon enough. 6 months passed like a slow-moving storm. At first, the Council barely noticed. A few human trade ships stopped arriving. Some contracts went unfilled. It was inconvenient, but not alarming. The galaxy was big. There were other suppliers, other engineers, other doctors, or so they thought. On the Thix manufacturing world of Krythos 7, production manager Zelnik stood in the middle of his factory floor and watched everything fall apart. The assembly lines had stopped. Again. For the 3rd time that week. What's wrong now? He demanded. His assistant, a younger Thix named Vrel, checked the diagnostics panel. The same issue, sir. The resonance calibrators are out of sync. The entire production line depends on them and they keep drifting. Then fix them. We don't know how, sir. The human consultant, Dr. Morrison, he always handled the calibrations. We watched him do it hundreds of times, but when we try, nothing works. Zelnix felt something cold in his chest. Fear, maybe. Or the beginning of understanding. What about the manuals? The documentation? We have them, sir, but they don't make sense. Dr. Morrison said he simplified the process for us. Apparently what he was doing was much more complicated than he showed us. Without him, we can't find another human. Sir, the humans are gone. All of them left Council space 3 months ago. There are no more human consultants available. The factory stayed silent. Zelnix had never realized how much silence could cost. Each minute of silence meant thousands of products not made, thousands of credits lost. Across the Thix consortium, 17 factories faced the same problem. Different issues, but the same root cause. The humans were gone. Halfway across the galaxy, Admiral Kreshitar of the Valorian Imperial Fleet stared at his command console in disbelief. Half of his displays showed error messages. His targeting systems were degrading. Navigation was glitchy. Even the basic life support systems were showing warnings. How is this possible? He demanded. This fleet is only 12 years old. The technology should be good for another century. His chief engineer, a Valorian named Morstel, looked uncomfortable. Sir, the AI systems were designed by human programmers. They included adaptive algorithms that required regular updates. The updates were scheduled quarterly, but we haven't received one in 6 months. So update them ourselves. We tried, sir. But the code, it's beyond our understanding. The human programmers built layers of complexity that we can't decode. Without their updates, the systems are slowly failing. And from what I'm hearing from other fleets, we're not alone. The entire Imperial Navy is experiencing the same problems. Kreshtar felt something he hadn't felt in his 300 years of service. Helplessness. The Valorian Empire had ruled space for 12,000 years. They had the best technology, the strongest fleets, the wisest leaders, and they couldn't update their own computers. On the small trading world of Pax Minor, Governor Thelnus read the latest reports with growing alarm. 3 merchant ships had been attacked by pirates in the last month. 2 had been destroyed. 1 had been taken, crew and all. This hadn't happened in decades. Not since the humans had started patrolling the trade routes. Thelnus had never asked for those patrols. The humans had just started doing them. They said it was good practice for their new crews. Free training exercises. The council had accepted it without much thought. Free security was free security. Now the patrols were gone. And the pirates were back. Thelnus sent a request to the council for protection. 2 weeks later, he received a response. The council would consider his request. A committee would be formed. A report would be filed. Protection might be available in 6 to 8 months. His world didn't have 6 to 8 months. In the medical centers of a dozen worlds, doctors faced shortages. Not of medicine itself, but of the equipment to make it. The synthesizers were breaking down. The diagnostic machines were malfunctioning. The automated surgical systems were throwing errors. All of them had been maintained by human technicians. All of them had been designed by human engineers. Most of them had been built by human factories. The galaxy was discovering a painful truth. Humans hadn't just been members of the council. They had been the backbone. On Concordia Prime, the council held an emergency session. The chamber was tense. No one was laughing now. The situation is worse than we thought, a Thix representative reported. Our manufacturing output has dropped by 42%. We're facing massive shortages across all sectors. The Valorian fleet is experiencing system-wide failures, a military advisor added. We estimate 60% combat effectiveness and dropping. If we faced a real threat right now, we couldn't defend council space. Trade routes are collapsing, another voice said. Pirate attacks have increased by 300%. Minor worlds are being raided. We don't have the ships to protect them. Elder Voshtar sat in his seat looking older than his 800 years. What about the humans? Have they responded to our communications? No, Elder. We've sent 17 formal requests for dialogue. All have been ignored. We've tried to send ships into human space to make contact. The ships reached the border and stopped. They received a message. It said, turn back. This is your only warning. When one ship tried to proceed anyway, it lost all power. Dead in space. It drifted for 3 days before a human ship towed it back to the border and left it there. The crew was unharmed but terrified. They attacked a council ship? Voshitar's voice rose. No, sir. That's the point. They didn't attack. They just turned off the ship. Like flipping a switch. We don't know how they did it. Our best engineers have examined the ship. There's no damage. No weapon signatures. The systems just stopped working when the humans wanted them to. The chamber was silent. The implications were terrifying. Humans had technology that could disable a ship without firing a shot. How long had they had it? Why had they never used it before? Or had they, and the council just never noticed? What about the minor species? Voshtar asked. Have any of them heard from the humans? An uncomfortable pause followed. Sir, we've received reports that several minor species have been in contact with humans. The Preen, the Shillat, the Norvin Collective. All of them were under human protection before the withdrawal. The humans haven't abandoned them. Just us. Voshtar closed his eyes. He remembered what Ambassador Korvash had said about humans fighting pirates to protect minor species. He had dismissed it as exaggeration. Now he understood. Humans had been running a separate protection network, independent of the council. They had been building relationships while the council ignored them. How bad is it? Voshtar asked quietly. The economic advisor stood. His hands were shaking. Elder, if current trends continue, the Thix Consortium will face total economic collapse within 18 months. The Valorian fleet will be combat ineffective within a year. Medicine shortages will cause a health crisis on 40 worlds within 6 months. Trade will collapse completely within 2 years. And the Zelnoth pirates? Growing bolder every day, sir. They've conquered 2 minor worlds already. Without human patrols, they're expanding rapidly. Voshitar looked around the chamber. He saw the same realization on every face. The Council hadn't just lost a member species. They had lost the species holding everything together. We need the humans back, someone said. They won't come. Another voice replied. We insulted them. We dismissed them. We let their people die while we debated. Then we make them come back. We have trade agreements, legal obligations. The agreements expired. The humans fulfilled every contract to the letter before leaving. There are no legal obligations. Then we offer them something they want. What? What do humans want that they can't get themselves? No one had an answer. For 12,000 years, the Council had been the center of galactic civilization. They had the power, the technology, the resources. Species joined the Council because they needed what the Council could provide. But humans didn't need them. That was becoming very, very clear. And somewhere in human space, behind borders that no one could cross, humanity was silent. Not gone, not defeated, just silent. The silence was starting to feel like a threat. 1 year after humanity's departure, the Council was fracturing. It happened slowly at first, then all at once. The Kresh Dominion and the Silurian Federation went to war over a mining colony. It was a stupid war, a pointless war, before human mediators would have stepped in. Ambassador Korvash herself had prevented this exact conflict 3 times. Now there was no one to stop it. Thousands died fighting over rocks that neither side really needed. The Thix Consortium was on the edge of bankruptcy. Their currency, once stable, was worth less every day. Factories stayed closed. Unemployment reached 40% on some worlds. Riots broke out. The government declared martial law. It didn't help. You couldn't arrest hunger. The Valorian Imperial fleet was a shadow of itself. Ships sat in dock unusable. The few that still worked were outdated and dangerous. 3 had exploded during routine operations. The crews died before they understood what went wrong. The mighty Valorian Empire, 12,000 years old, couldn't keep its own ships running. And the Zelnoth pirates were everywhere. They attacked with impunity. They took what they wanted. They killed who they wanted. The Council had no way to stop them. The few fleet actions attempted ended in disaster. The pirates had new weapons now. Better shields, faster ships. When investigators examined captured pirate vessels, they found technology that looked suspiciously human in design. But how? Humans had closed their borders. No human ships entered Council space. No human traders sold weapons. The black market was flooded with human technology anyway. It appeared like magic, and the pirates knew how to use it. Elder Voshitar stood in the Council chamber and looked at empty seats. 7 species had withdrawn from the Council in the past month. They said the Council couldn't protect them. They said membership was worthless. They were right. We have no choice, Voshitar said. We must go to Earth. We must negotiate. They ignored 17 messages, Thrall objected. The Thix ambassador looked thinner than before. Stress was killing him. What makes you think they'll see us? Because we're not sending a message this time. We're sending a delegation. We're going in person. They can't ignore that. 3 days later, a Council ship approached the border of human space. It was the finest ship the Valorian fleet had left. That wasn't saying much anymore, but appearances mattered. The delegation included Elder Vashtar himself, Ambassador Thrall, and representatives from 5 other major species. They reached the border and stopped. A message appeared on their communications screen. State your purpose. We are a diplomatic delegation from the Interstellar Council, Voshitar sent back. We request an audience with representatives of humanity. Wait. The ship waited. Hours passed, then days. The delegation sat in their quarters, growing more uncomfortable. The ship's food synthesizers weren't working properly. The temperature controls were unreliable. Everything was breaking down. Finally, after 3 weeks, they received permission to proceed. A human ship met them at Earth's orbital station. It was smaller than the Council ship, but newer, sleeker, more advanced. The delegation pretended not to notice. They were escorted to a conference room. Not the grand chambers they expected. Just a simple room with a table and chairs. 2 humans waited for them. Admiral James Chen wore a military uniform covered in medals the council didn't recognize. He was old, maybe 70, with gray hair and hard eyes that had seen too much combat. Dr. Sarah Okonkwo wore a simple business suit. She was younger, maybe 40, with dark skin and an expression that gave away nothing. Her title, they learned, was Director of Human Strategic Resources. The delegation wasn't sure what that meant. Neither human stood when the aliens entered. Another insult. Vojtar decided to ignore it. "Thank you for seeing us," he began. "The council acknowledges that mistakes were made. We were short-sighted in our treatment of humanity. We wish to discuss terms for humanity's return to the council." Admiral Chen and Dr. Okonkwo exchanged glances. Then they both laughed. It wasn't a friendly sound. "Return?" Dr. Okonkwo said. "Elder Vojtar, I don't think you understand the situation. Then please explain it to us." She activated a holographic display. Images appeared above the table, charts, graphs, numbers that made the delegates uncomfortable. "Let's start with medicine," she said. "Before we left, humanity provided 43% of all medical supplies in council space. We designed 67% of your diagnostic equipment. We maintained 81% of your medical synthesizers. How's your health crisis going?" "Silence manufacturing," she continued. "Human engineers managed 72% of critical industrial systems across the THIX consortium alone. We didn't tell you that because you never asked. You just assumed your own people were doing the work. They weren't, we were. How's your economy?" More silence. Defense. Admiral Chen took over. His voice was like iron. "Humanity provided covert security for 41 minor species. We ran anti-piracy operations across 70 trade routes. We upgraded your fleet AI systems, your weapons targeting, your shield generators. We did it quietly because you were too proud to admit you needed help. How many ships have you lost to pirates this year?" Threll's translator made a choking sound. The THIX ambassador couldn't speak. "But here's the really interesting part," Dr. Okonkwo smiled. It was not a warm smile. "You thought we needed you. You thought we were dependent on council trade, on council technology, on council protection. You believed it so completely that you never questioned it." She changed the display. New images appeared. Human colonies. Massive ones. Industrial centers that dwarfed anything in council space. Shipyards building vessels that made Valorian dreadnoughts look like toys. For 150 years we smiled and nodded while you treated us like children. For 150 years we took your insults and your dismissals. And for 150 years we built our own civilization, separate from you, independent of you. Better than you." Vojtar felt cold. "You were preparing to leave all along." "No," Admiral Chen said. "We were preparing for when you finally pushed us too far. We hoped it wouldn't happen. We wanted a real partnership. But we're humans. We learn from history. We plan for contingencies. We hope for the best and prepare for the worst. What do you want?" Vojtar asked. His voice sounded old, defeated. "Name your price. Technology? Trade agreements? Territory?" Dr. Okonkwo laughed again. "You still don't understand. We don't want anything from you. We never did. We wanted respect. We wanted to be treated as equals. We wanted you to listen when our people were dying. You couldn't even give us that. Then why are we here?" Threll asked desperately. "Why let us come if you won't negotiate?" "Because you needed to see," Admiral Chen said. "You needed to understand what you lost. You ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years. You thought you were untouchable. You thought you were superior, and maybe you were once. But you got comfortable. You got arrogant. You stopped innovating. You stopped trying." He leaned forward. "We were the only thing keeping your empire from collapsing. We were the glue. The foundation. The engine running everything. And you never noticed because you were too busy reminding us that we were young, that we were inexperienced, that we should learn our place. What happens now?" Vojtar asked quietly. Dr. Okonkwo stood. Now you go home. You tell the council the truth. You tell them that humanity is not coming back. We're done being your janitors, done being your engineers, done being your soldiers while you take credit for peace we maintain." "The council will collapse," Threll said. "Species will die." "Yes," she agreed. "Some will. That's unfortunate. But it's not our responsibility. Not anymore. You made that very clear when you let 47,000 humans die while you debated. Admiral Chen stood as well. There is one option available to you. Not a return to the old system. Something new. What option? The Council can petition to join a new alliance. One based on actual equality, where every species has a real voice. Where minor species aren't ignored. Where decisions are made based on merit, not age. Where respect is earned, not demanded. With humanity in charge? Foshtar asked. With humanity as a founding member, Dr. Okonkwo corrected. Not in charge. That's the point. We don't want to rule you. We never did. We just refuse to be ruled by you. She walked to the door. You have 6 months to decide. The Council can dissolve itself and petition to join the new alliance, or you can try to survive on your own. Your choice. The delegation was escorted back to their ship. The journey home took 2 weeks. No one spoke much. They were all thinking the same thing. Humanity had never been the junior partner. They had been the senior partner, pretending to be junior to spare the Council's pride, and the Council had been too blind to see it. 18 months after humanity left, the galaxy was burning. The Valorian Empire was dying. Not quickly, but slowly, like a tree rotting from the inside. 12 worlds had declared independence. The Empire lacked the ships to stop them. More worlds would follow. The Empire that had lasted 12,000 years was fragmenting in less than 2. The Thix Consortium was already gone. Officially, it still existed. Unofficially, it was a failed state. Their government couldn't pay salaries. They couldn't maintain order. They couldn't feed their people. 3 of their major worlds had descended into civil war. The rest were just waiting for the end. The Council itself still met, but barely. Half the seats were empty. Species had withdrawn one by one, seeking their own paths. Some formed regional alliances. Others simply tried to survive alone. The age of the Council was ending, and the Zelnoth were thriving. The pirate fleets had evolved into something worse. An empire of their own. They controlled 4 systems completely. They raided a dozen more. They took slaves. They took resources. They took whatever they wanted. No one could stop them. The galaxy was learning a hard truth. Peace wasn't natural. Order wasn't the default state. For 12,000 years, someone had maintained the peace. First the Valorians, when they were strong. Then quietly the humans. Now no one maintained it. And chaos was filling the void. On Concordia Prime, Elder Voshtar read the daily reports and felt nothing. He was too old to feel anymore. Too tired. The reports were always the same. More collapse. More death. More failure. Then a new report appeared. This one was different. The Zelnoth had attacked a human mining station, Station Theta 9 in the Outer Rim. Population 3,000, mostly miners and their families. The Zelnoth wanted the rare minerals. They didn't care about the humans. The attack lasted 4 hours. When it was over, Station Theta 9 was gone. All 3,000 people dead. The Zelnoth took what they wanted and left. Voshtar read the report twice. Then he sent an urgent message to Earth. The Zelnoth have attacked your people. We offer our condolences and any assistance. The response came back in minutes. Just 2 words. We know. 48 hours after the attack on Theta 9, the Zelnoth homeworld of Zelkar went dark. All communications stopped. Every ship in orbit disappeared. The planetary defense grid shut down. 17 Zelnoth ships in nearby systems lost all power simultaneously. No one knew what happened. No one saw it happen. The Zelnoth just vanished. By the 72nd hour, reports started coming in. Human ships had been spotted. Not at Zelkar, but everywhere else. Every known Zelnoth base. Every pirate stronghold. Every hidden shipyard, the reports were all the same. Human ships would appear. No warnings. No negotiations. They would disable every Zelnoth vessel in range, board them, and take the crews prisoner. The ships themselves were destroyed. Methodically, efficiently, completely. The Zelnoth pirate fleet, which had terrorized the galaxy for 2 years, ceased to exist in 72 hours. Council intelligence worked frantically to understand how. They pulled every sensor record, every spy report, every piece of data they could find. What they discovered terrified them. Human ships moved faster than anything the Council had. They could jump without using the gate network. They appeared and disappeared at will. Their weapons didn't just damage ships, they shut them down completely. Some kind of electromagnetic pulse technology. but far more advanced than anything the Council possessed. But it was the scale that truly scared them. The humans had deployed over 300 ships in this operation. The Council had no idea they had that many. Where had they been hiding them? How long had humanity possessed a fleet this size? The intelligence analysts started pulling old records. They looked at human ship movements over the past decade. Patrol routes, trade missions, training exercises. The truth emerged slowly. Those routine patrols hadn't been training. They had been intelligence gathering, mapping pirate bases, tracking Xel'Nath movements, identifying targets. For years, humans had been preparing for this exact scenario. They knew, one analyst said, they knew the Xel'Nath would keep expanding. They knew the Council wouldn't stop them. They were waiting. Waiting for what? For an excuse. For the Xel'Nath to give them a legal justification. Self-defense is recognized under all galactic laws. The Xel'Nath attacked human civilians. Now humanity can respond with overwhelming force and no one can call it aggression. On the fourth day, humanity issued a statement. It was broadcast to every system in the galaxy. Admiral Chen's face appeared on billions of screens. The Xel'Nath pirate collective attacked Station Theta 9 and murdered 3,000 human civilians. This was not the first Xel'Nath attack on humanity. It will be the last. The Xel'Nath pirate fleet has been eliminated. Their bases have been destroyed. Their leaders are in custody and will face trial for crimes against sapient life. He paused. His expression was cold. Absolutely cold. Let this be a lesson. Humanity values peace. We value diplomacy. We value cooperation. But we will not tolerate the murder of our people. Not by pirates. Not by rogue states. Not by anyone. Attack our civilians and we will respond. Not with warnings. Not with negotiations. With overwhelming absolute force. Another pause. To the species who once dismissed us as young and weak, you now understand your error. To the minor species who fear they will be next, you won't be. We don't conquer. We don't enslave. We protect those who can't protect themselves. To the Council, you have 4 months left to make your decision. Choose wisely. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, governments held emergency meetings. Military commanders reviewed their defenses and realized how useless they were. Civilian populations had the same thought. If humans could eliminate the Xel'Nath in 3 days, what could they do to us? On Concordia Prime, Voshtar called another emergency session. The council chamber was half empty, but those who remained came immediately. We have to surrender, Threll said. The Thix ambassador looked like he'd aged 50 years. Surrender. Petition for mercy. Accept any terms they offer. It's not surrender, another delegate said. It's survival. The humans were right. We've been living in a fantasy, an empire built on their labor, protected by their strength, held together by their competence. And we called them weak. Voshtar stood. He was very old, too old for this, too old to watch his entire civilization crumble. The vote is simple, he said. We dissolve the Interstellar Council. We petition to join humanity's new alliance. We accept their terms, whatever they are. All in favor? Every hand rose, even those who had opposed humanity most strongly. Even those who had laughed when Elena Corvash walked out. Everyone voted yes, because the alternative was extinction. A message was sent to Earth. The Council officially requested dissolution and petitioned to join the new alliance. They asked for terms. They offered tribute. They promised cooperation. The response came from Dr. Okonkwo. Your petition is received and will be considered. You will be judged not by your past but by your willingness to build a better future. The new alliance is not based on dominance. It's based on mutual respect and equal partnership. If you can accept that, you will be welcome. If you cannot, you will not. Representatives will arrive in 60 days to begin transition negotiations. Prepare full financial records, military assessments, and governance structures for review. The age of empires is over. The age of cooperation begins now. One more thing. The Xel'Nath homeworld has been placed under human administration. The population will face justice, but not genocide. We are not monsters. We're just done pretending to be weak. Vashatar read the message 3 times. The age of empires is over. 12,000 years of Valorian rule. Finished. Done. Replaced by humans who had been council members for just 150 years. But he felt something unexpected. Relief. The galaxy had been falling apart. Now someone was putting it back together. Someone competent, Someone who actually knew what they were doing. He just wished it hadn't taken the death of 3,000 humans to make the council see the truth. Humanity had never been the junior partner. They had been the only adults in the room, and the galaxy's children had finally learned what happened when you pushed adults too far. They stopped talking. They stopped warning. They just acted, and when humans acted, worlds trembled. 2 years after humanity walked out of the Interstellar Council, a new government formed. It wasn't called a council. It wasn't called an empire. It was called the Galactic Concordat, and it was built on principles the old galaxy had forgotten. The founding ceremony took place on Earth in Geneva. The symbolism wasn't lost on anyone. Earth was humanity's homeworld. Geneva was where humans had once tried to solve their own planetary conflicts. Now they were hosting the galaxy. The chamber was different from Concordia Prime, smaller, more intimate. Every species had the same size delegation. The Valorians didn't get more seats because they were ancient. The Thicks didn't get special privileges because they'd once been powerful. Everyone was equal. Elena Korvash stood at the podium. She wasn't an ambassador anymore. She was Secretary General of the Galactic Concordat, the first to hold the position. Maybe she'd be good at it. Maybe she'd fail. But she'd been chosen not by humanity alone, but by a vote of all founding species. 40 species were present, the old council members humbled and reduced, and 13 new species that humanity had been in contact with for years, species the council had never even known existed. That had been the biggest shock. While the council stagnated, humanity had been exploring, meeting new civilizations, building relationships. The galaxy was bigger than the council had imagined, and humanity had been mapping it all along. Elena looked at the assembled delegates. Some were old friends. Some were former enemies. All of them were necessary. 2 years ago, she began, I stood in a different chamber and told the Interstellar Council that humanity was leaving. I said you'd mistaken our diplomacy for weakness. I said that was ending. She paused. Let the words hang in the air. I was angry. My people were dying while you debated. I was right to be angry. But anger isn't enough to build a civilization. It's not enough to create peace. It's not even enough to maintain justice. Around the chamber, delegates listened carefully. Every word was being recorded. Broadcast to 100 worlds, this speech would be studied for generations. Humanity didn't leave because we wanted to rule you. We left because we couldn't be ruled by you. There's a difference. A crucial difference. We didn't want power. We wanted respect. She gestured to the chamber around them. This is what respect looks like. Equal representation. Equal voices. Decisions based on merit, not tradition. Protection based on need, not political convenience. We call it a concordat because concordat means agreement. Mutual agreement, not domination. Former Elder Voshtar sat in the Valorian section. He was no longer an elder, just a delegate like everyone else. He looked smaller than he had 2 years ago. Older, but there was something else in his expression. Relief, maybe. Or peace, Elena continued. The Interstellar Council failed because it was built on the wrong foundation. It was built on the idea that some species were better than others. That age meant wisdom. That power meant right. Those ideas are poison. They killed the council. We won't repeat those mistakes. She activated a display. The new structure appeared, clean, simple, effective. The Concordat has 3 branches. The Assembly, where all member species have equal representation. The Security Fleet, which protects everyone, not just the powerful. And the Development Corps, which helps species grow and advance without exploitation. Thrall of the Thicks raised a hand. He was thin now, recovering from the stress of watching his civilization collapse. But he was here, still working, still trying. Secretary General, the Security Fleet, who commands it? A joint command structure. Rotating leadership. No single species in permanent control. Currently, Admiral Chen leads military operations. Admiral Voshkar of Valor leads strategic planning. Commander Thelnus of Pax Minor leads logistics. It's a team, that's the point. And if humanity disagrees with the rest of the Concordat? Another delegate asked. Your military is still the strongest. What stops you from just taking over? It was a fair question. Everyone was thinking it. Admiral Chen stood. He'd been sitting in the back, quiet until now. May I answer that, Secretary General? Elena nodded. Chen walked to the podium. He was older now. The stress of the past 2 years showed in the lines on his face. But his eyes were still sharp. Still focused. Humanity could take over, he said bluntly. That's true. Our fleet is larger. Our technology is more advanced. In a straight fight, we'd win. So why don't we? He looked around the chamber, making eye contact with every delegate. Because we've studied history, human history, the history of every species in this room, and we've learned something important. Empires fall, always, every single time. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. And when they fall, millions die. He paused. We don't want an empire. We watched the Valorians build one. We watched it collapse. We're not going to repeat that mistake. We want something sustainable. Something that can last not 12,000 years, but 1,000,000 years. That requires cooperation. Real cooperation. Not conquered subjects, not client states, partners. Pretty words, someone muttered. A creche delegate. But power corrupts. Eventually, you'll use that power. Maybe, Chen agreed. Maybe we will. Maybe in 1,000 years, humanity becomes what the Valorians were. Arrogant, complacent, oppressive. You know what happens then? He smiled. It was a hard smile. You walk out. Just like we did. You build your own future. You show us that we're wrong. That's the beauty of this system. It's not dependent on humanity being perfect. It's designed to survive our imperfection. The chamber was silent. Processing, Elena took the podium again. The Concordat Constitution includes a dissolution clause. Any species can leave at any time. No military action will be taken to stop them. If we fail you, you can leave. If we become tyrants, you can leave. The door is always open. Then what's to stop everyone from leaving at the first disagreement? Thrill asked. Self-interest, Dr. Okonkwo said. She'd been sitting next to Chen. Now she stood as well. The Concordat works because it serves everyone's interests. Better trade. Better security. Better technology sharing. Better everything. If we maintain that, no one will want to leave. If we don't maintain that, we deserve to be left. She walked to the center. That's what the council never understood. You can't force loyalty. You can't demand respect. You can only earn it. Every single day, with every decision, with every action. The moment we stop earning it, we lose it. As it should be. The delegates talked among themselves. The translation systems created a babble of different languages, but the mood was shifting. Fear was turning into cautious hope. A new delegate stood. Young. From the Sillat Confederation, one of the species humanity had been protecting for years. The council had never heard of the Gillat until 6 months ago. I have a question, the young Gillat said. Her voice was nervous. Why did humanity protect us? Before all this, before the Concordat, you sent ships to defend our trade routes. You shared technology with us. We had nothing to offer in return. Why did you do it? Elena smiled. A real smile this time. Because we could. Because it was the right thing to do. Because we remember what it's like to be vulnerable. Humans spent most of our history fighting each other. We nearly destroyed ourselves. We learned the hard way that the strong have a responsibility to protect the weak. Not because the weak owe us anything, but because that's what decent people do. The Zillat delegate sat down. She was crying. Tears of relief, maybe, or gratitude. Her people had been on the edge of extinction. Human protection had saved them. They'd never understood why. Now they did. Are there any other questions? Elena asked. Voshitar stood. Everyone turned to look. The former elder. The voice of the old empire. Not a question, he said. His voice was quiet, humble. An apology. On behalf of the Valorian people, I apologize to humanity. We treated you poorly. We dismissed you. We insulted you. We let your people die. There is no excuse for our behavior. We were wrong. Completely wrong. And we are sorry. The chamber was silent. A Valorian apology was rare. A Valorian admitting fault was almost unheard of. Elena walked to Voshitar's section. She extended her hand. The human gesture of respect, apology accepted, she said. The past is past. Let's build a better future. Voshitar took her hand. He shook it. And for the first time in years, he smiled. The ceremony continued. Species signed the Concordat Charter. Oaths were sworn. Structures were established. It took hours. But when it was done, something new existed. Something that had never existed before in the galaxy's history. A true alliance, based on equality, based on respect, based on the radical idea that every species, regardless of age or power, had value. Later, after the ceremony, Elena stood on a balcony overlooking Geneva. The city lights sparkled below. In the sky, ships from 100 worlds orbited, waiting, watching, hoping. A young human approached. A student. She'd come to watch the ceremony for a school project. Secretary General? The girl asked nervously.
Can I ask you something?
Of course. Why didn't we just conquer them? The Valorians. The Council. We had the power. We could have ruled the galaxy. Elena looked at the girl. So young, so much to learn, but asking the right questions. Because that would make us exactly what they feared we were, Elena said. They called us aggressive, warlike, dangerous. If we'd conquered them, we'd have proved them right. Instead, we walked away. We built something better.